What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Showdown Rum Pure Sports recorded show. We are not live. We don't have the chat going on, but we are still here bringing you the Showdown winners for Sunday Night Football. We got the Niners. We got the Niners and the Cowboys. So it should be a fun game. Rubio, let's go to you first. I'm assuming the Showdown playbook is not up yet, but maybe I'm wrong. I haven't even given it a check. But we have Showdown content for all the games. If you're watching right now, and you want some, content for all these games, you're gonna be able to get it. Don't you worry. But Rubio, what's the ETA on the Showdown playbook? Maybe the people who are
so I mean, obviously we have two games today with the Chiefs Jaguars. That'll have a playbook up, and then the late game tonight as well. So we're gonna have the two playbooks for the Saturday games. And then tomorrow morning is when you'll see the Cowboys, 49ers, and Bengals Bills playbooks up. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like, this is two great teams, two teams that we stacked in best ball, presumably. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't really care who wins, but I expect to see points. The total is not low at all. You would have thought, 49ers game, blah, blah, blah. 46 is not a bad total at all. I think we're going to see points here. I know Big T pointed out, like, Dallas points can come from anywhere. So the 49ers will have difficulty, where they usually can take out someone out of the game and stuff. They can't really do that here. Maybe CeeDee Lamb, but like, it's going to be an interesting game. You got so many different ways you can go. Like, Brock Purdy's 9,400. We all know that he has so many weapons to work with and stuff, and it just seems so cheap. But then you have all these skill positions too. It's just an awesome slate. So it's nice that the playoffs are here. We have 4 great matchups, and this is, the cherry on top of a great playoff weekend.
Yep, should definitely be a really great playoff weekend. Excited to watch these games. Everyone already has it set that we know who's winning, right? Kansas City's winning, the Eagles are winning, the Niners, Niners and Cowboys is actually more split. That's the one game that should be a lot of fun. And then what's the other game? The Bengals. Yeah, I guess that's more split too. But it does feel like everyone's counting out the old Giants and the Jaguars. But we'll see. That's why they play the football games. I'm very much excited. I actually think the Jaguars have a chance. We'll see. We'll see what happens today. I can't wait to watch that game. And I can't wait to watch this one for sure, because Niners Cowboys is going to be a fun one. Meg, let's go to you next. I'm curious to hear some of your takes on this game. What's your overall thoughts on this entire weekend and this game?
Well, yeah, wild card weekend was awesome. This weekend historically is always, an exciting playoff weekend. So I'm super excited for 4 great games. And yeah, I'm excited about this game. I go back and forth, honestly. Do I think there's going to be points? Do I think these are 2 good defenses? I'm kind of still wrestling with that. I've listened to a lot of shows, read a lot of stuff. I hear people that I think are super sharp on both sides. I hear people that I think are super sharp that, think it could be low scoring, high scoring. So, I'm going back and forth on it myself. But I'm excited to break this down with you guys. And I will say, I love doing the live show and the live chat and everything, but I will say I was able to prep a little more for this one, because usually it's like a Sunday afternoon cram, and then we're building our lineups on the show. So as much as I miss the live chat, you have my full undivided attention. I'm not currently building lineups, and I'm excited to see what these guys have to say too, that can help me build some winners.
Yes, you have my full undivided attention too. I don't have an NBA slate going on. I don't have anything. I'm trying to think if there's nothing that can distract me right now.
Premier League soccer, man, going. Come on, I thought
Rubio. I actually was going to sign up this morning to play some soccer. I really was when you texted me, and I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea. But I had to do my thread. So the thread is up, right? I had to get that going, and I was like, and waking up, I was disoriented. It was a brutal wake up. I think I got 5 hours of sleep. So we gotta get moving. We got a lot to do this weekend. We got Kurt coming up next. We're talking some Cowboys. We're talking some Niners. Kurt, let's go over to you. What's your overall thoughts on this entire weekend and this game here? You are on mute.
I didn't do that, so that just automatically muted itself when I guess we were coming in. So that's not my fault.
That's like the time my grandma backed into the tree in the driveway, and she said the tree moved.
I didn't press the button, so that's not my fault.
Hit the button, right? Like the tree didn't move, and you had to have hit the button. I'm sorry.
He just compared you to his grandma. That's great. We're off to a good start.
That's okay. Kurt had some grandma tweets out this morning.
I liked it. I like the grandma.
It blew my mind. I saw her walking in the bathroom. I'm like, what's about to happen right now? And she was like just blaring music. I'm like, what? How'd she even teach herself how to do that? I ask myself all the time. But first of all, can we just give a round of applause for probably the best wild card weekend we've had in quite some time? I mean, it seems like every game was, even the blowout was kind of entertaining. And it seems like in the past, these wildcard games have been like just shitty, low scoring. And you think this season we've had a lot of low scoring games. Obviously, the scoring's way down. Then all of a sudden, this wildcard game, bam! It was just wow. I mean, I was already had a feeling going into it was about to be a great weekend, and it just exceeded all expectations, which is so rare. And it just got me even more excited for this game because the teams get even more quality, and it's just great matchups. I'm pumped for it. I've talked myself into. I mean, everyone wants to talk about Bills Bengals. Mangone has talked me into it, and just looking at it, this game might be my favorite showdown because there's so many different ways you can go. So I did a really fast 180 on it. I'm pretty excited.
I think this showdown's super fun. Like I'll admit I haven't like ran too much like projection wise or anything, but just like thinking of the players and like the game, like it makes so much sense. One, there's so many ways you can go on the Cowboys, right? Of like guys that could score, and same on the Niners too. So I mean, what are like the worst showdown slates are when it's like the 5-1 and the 4-2, Rubio sitting there playing the 5-1, 4-2. It's like you gotta like play like, I don't know, maybe it's like Chiefs and Colts, right? Like you're playing all these Chiefs, and then like the Colts, you're like, I don't want to play into these guys. Like those are the worst slates, right? We have some pretty good ones. Like for instance, that Eagles Giants slate's kind of going to be tough, right? That's not the easiest one. That's kind of has that vibe. It's going to be an Eagles heavy slate. And then of course people will look at Barkley and Jones and then some of the cheap ones. There's just so many different ways you can go, especially with the way Brock Purdy is kind of like throwing the ball, right? Like he's kind of spacing it out more than other, like the other quarterbacks who have been there. Like it feels like other options are more alive on this team with the Niners. So we'll obviously dive in. We'll break it down. Like I said, Rubio will have that showdown playbook up for you. This will be going up Saturday night. So Rubio will have that showdown playbook up early Sunday morning. So
Who's
be sure
doing?
to check.
Is it me or you for that one?
I'll do. I got the Sunday ones.
Oh, you got both? Oh, wow. Okay. Mr. Hard Worker.
I got time.
Am I supposed to hold my – oh, I'm on the college playbook that day, so that's fine. Okay. Sorry, guys. Had to clear that up.
A little behind the scenes of guys doing the showdown playbook. If you do want to get Rubio's showdown playbook, use the code Rubio15. That gets you 15% off. If you want Kurt's college basketball playbook, right? Use the code Kurt15. And then if you want Meg's course for the showdown stuff, so I know she'll be on them all weekend long. She'll be doing the super draft, all the different ones. Use the code Meg15. Gets you 15% off. So but let's dive in. Let's talk about this slate and also hit that like, right? Let's not waste any time. I woke up early for this, and I don't wake up early often. People will tell you that. So let's get diving in and talking about this game because I'm excited. I think the Niners win this one. I'll just say that. I know there's I know Big T's on the Cowboys. I know it seems like there's some Cowboys traction going on. I know it seems like some of the public are very high on Purdy as well. I just think the Niners have the better coach for sure. I do think the Cowboys have good offensive coordinators, right? That's one reason we love this Cowboys offense is Kellen Moore is pretty good. But I think this Niners team is going to get the job done. So I'm kind of building for those scripts, but I am building for more points being scored. I think it is going to be a good game. So that's kind of my setup. If we dive into the captains, obviously CMC in the conversation, no matter what, even if you think the Niners are leading, you think they're trailing, how can you not like CMC? The question is, do you have enough value to do it at the captain spot? Dak Prescott looked phenomenal last week. Can Dak do that again, or will he look like his old self? I don't know. We'll have to see. That's going to be an interesting angle to play with the Niners defense not playing as well down the stretch. CeeDee Lamb has been absolutely crushing it, and PPR site and the upside that he has is insane. And in the run game, if you think about the Niners, that they normally have a good run game, what do you do with Pollard and Zeke, right? I mean, there are obviously two different options you can go to, and that's what makes the Cowboys slates different is like, it's not just one running back you have to normally pick from, it's two. Zeke can have a ceiling performance, even though it's not what Pollard could do. But let's dive in and go over to you, Meg. Let's start with you here because you said you're so prepared for this one.
I'm already so prepared. I'm more prepared.
All right, more prepared. But okay. This isn't a commander slate, to be fair. So,
that's right. That's right.
I mentioned a lot of options, right? I didn't even say Debo. I didn't even say Kittle. Ayuk wasn't mentioned. Dalton Schultz, I mean, he's been crushing it too. Dalton Schultz, I think he was like the winning tight end on two slates this year for the Cowboys on showdown slates. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great game. What's your thoughts here on how you're handling the captain spot? Because I mentioned so many, and we clearly can't play them all.
Absolutely. It's like an embarrassment of riches. I mean, that's how I feel about the 49ers and all their weapons. But to choose a captain, I mean, you pointed out the three very clear, obvious ones of McCaffrey, Lamb, and then I would say Debo is my third favorite, and of course Dak. So I mean, those are kind of the obvious ones. But I mean, I think this could be a slate where you could get contrarian with your captain. I also think this is going to be a slate. It's going to be maybe, and we'll get to the fades later, more about who you fade more than who you play. Because there are just so many studs on this showdown. We cannot get them all. We won't even be able to get half of them if we want to, price considered to build a lineup, unless we dive into the 200 section. I don't think we want to do that. So yeah, the obvious captains for me are McCaffrey, Debo, Lamb are the ones I like the most. But I kind of played around with the Brock Purdy captain, and because he's so cheap and he has so many weapons, if he does just spread it out to his weapons, I kind of like that. And I wonder if that's going to come in lower owned. I'll be interested to see ownership for a Purdy captain. And then I had Schultz in my cores last week. He got 2 touchdowns. I believe I ran a couple with, and I think I put in my cores as him as the captain. I ran a couple of Schultz captains. Unfortunately, I did not play Julio Jones, so that wasn't going to work out for me in the end to ship anything. But I had a very profitable night because I had Schultz in almost all my lineups, a few Schultz captains, and I might go back to the well there too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Dalton Schultz is in play. What they actually let's talk about this, Rubio, from last week, because maybe I know you're obviously building all these showdown playbooks, and when you build them all the time, right, and you see who's like on the winner all the time, like quarterbacks have not been on the winner this year, right? Like it just really hasn't happened as often. And I know that Meg just brought up Purdy. What's your thoughts on the quarterback captain? Let's go there, because like last week, if you would have shown me that game, that Cowboys-Bucks game, and just show me the stats, I would have been like, oh, Dak captain won showdown, right? Like it seemed like he was going to be the showdown winner, and then Dalton Schultz just comes over the top and is. So I thought that was really interesting that he wasn't even the showdown captain winner on this slate. So what would you do with Dak and Purdy? Are they like clear X's for you in the captain spot, or are you looking at these position players?
I mean, you look at last game, and I know that Dalton Schultz captain ended up being the winner, but that's because I think, you had Julio, you had Tom Brady go off too, and there wasn't a lot of cheap options. And here, it's kind of similar. You don't have a ton of cheap options. Dak did just get 39. Brock did just get 37. They were the 2 highest scoring guys on their own team. And both, Purdy's shown that he can scramble, and scrambling, man, he gets outside that pocket. He can easily run one in. We saw it with Dak too. Dak wasn't afraid to use his legs at all. And it's good to see, like, playoff football, they're leaving it all on the line. But Dak ran the ball 7 times last game. I know one of those was specifically designed for him. I don't know if there was any other sneaks or anything like that. But the fact that he's willing to run the ball is like, oh, man, like maybe we've seen a side of Dak where we really haven't seen too much of. And if people are thinking, I don't really want to captain quarterbacks, which makes a lot of sense. Like, we totally get it. They're weapons and stuff. But the 49ers side of the ball, there's so many weapons that you got to choose from that just captaining one of those guys, like, man, I'd rather just play Purdy. And then same with like the Cowboys, where I know CD Lamb usually gets the brunt of the targets and stuff, but Schultz, this is a tough defense. This is a tough defense to crack if you're a tight end. And so I'm just worried about the upside for Schultz in terms of he's still going to be a great red zone target and everything, but I'm talking about the yardage and PPR stuff. Like, I definitely still like him, but it's getting up to that point where I think I might fiddle with the quarterback captain builds a little bit more. And then, but I really like CMC and CD Lamb mostly, though, because I just think they're the 2 main weapons of this offense. I think that if the Cowboys are going to succeed, it's going to be through the air, because we all know how good this 49ers rushing defense is. So, yeah, it would probably be the path that I'm doing. I'm actually fiddling with, do you fade Purdy or Dak? It's really, really, it's almost impossible to fit both, because we don't really have any cheap options at all. And unless you want to play like Kyle Juszczyk and stuff, but I'm not really quite there yet, Mangone.
All right, let's talk about CD Lamb. Let's go to Kurt. Kurt, I don't know if that was you. My guess is, did your virus thing just pop up or something on your screen?
No, it said, do I want to restart my computer for some reason?
Oh, okay. I knew that was you, though. I was like, that's definitely Kurt's making noise. I could hear it over here. I just want to know if I was right, and I was right. But one thing I want to ask you about is CD Lamb, because I think he's a great play. And one thing to call it with CD Lamb, terrible script last week, right? They're leading the entire time, has 2 drops early, and still gets 16.8 DK points. Like, not saying it's his floor, but I mean, that's pretty good. CD Lamb captain sounds appealing. I like Brandon Ayuk a lot. I think these Niners receivers, we're still trying to get a feel of who the guy could be. We obviously have seen Debo pop off last week. for a monster game. I mean, is that something we should expect here? And also, he is used in the run game more too, right? So that's obviously nice when you play someone like Deebo Samuel. So what are you doing with Deebo and CeeDee Lamb, and how are you handling the captain spot, Kurt?
First off, the San Fran defense is obviously nothing to throw a stick at. I mean, this is a great defense, but they have gotten blasted by outside receivers lately. I mean, some guys have had massive games, and CD can move everywhere. But at the favorable matchups on the outside, we could see CD and is probably his like season high in outside snaps if it is a favorable matchup and they like it. And he could just absolutely destroy. And the good thing is, if it's not work on the outside, they can move him in the slot and move him all around. That's the great thing about CD. These Cowboys slates have been profitable. Showdown slates have been profitable for all of us, I feel like. And even though I've mostly gone CD captain, a lot I've also done different captains. And every time it's like CD captain has not really been the one to like really shove it down anybody's throat. Like it's been like meh, cashable, but nothing crazy. This could be the slate where it's finally the one. So we'll be going right back to the CD captain because, I mean, Devontae Adams nuked them. Like Metcalf, even like a little bit of the garbage time in the second half, nuked them. Dotson had a good game. I mean, there's just a lot of guys who just nuked him on the outside. And not all of it was just like garbage time either. So the way this offense is going, I do not mind going there. One stance I really will have is with this Cowboys pass rush. Man, this could be one of those games where Kittle has to stay in a little bit more than we're comfortable with. And I think I might run 150 and just – this is someone's like scary to fade. I don't care what he did last week. He is a scary fade anytime you do it. The guy has massive upside. I will be full fading him on 150 just to get a little bit cute. And yes, it's a little bit scary, but so maybe some people might see this like the game last week and be like, oh, okay, well, I don't scare like fade him, but I don't care. That's still a big stance to me, which I'll be taking. As far as the quarterbacks, Dak, maybe he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable since the injury. I know it's been a long time, but like this is the playoffs do or die. Maybe we do see more of those rushing attempts, which I will captain him. I'm going to continue to be a slight Brock Purdy hater, so I'll mix him in, but he will absolutely not be a captain for me. And I might just attack some of these Cowboys pass catchers, to be honest, because I'm not completely sold on San Fran's secondary, but I am sold on their pass rush. And I think that the secondary has looked better due to that pass rush. And if this Cowboys offensive line can sustain it and do well, I think they could kind of expose this San Fran, let's say, middle of the pack secondary.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. I'm curious to see how it plays out. Like I said, this is one of the games that I'm excited to watch. If you told me I can only watch one game, I don't know if it'd be this one. It might be it probably Bills Bengals, right? And then I'd say this one's number 2 for me. So, but yeah. Let's keep this thing rolling along. Let's go to the flex spot because obviously, we can't play everyone up top in the flex. We're going to have to make some fades. Maybe it's Purdy, maybe it's Dak, maybe it's CD. Maybe it's maybe not going Kittle. I mean, obviously we know Kittle has the ability to have a very low floor but a high ceiling. Zeke, there's no chance I'm playing Zeke in this one. I'll tell you that right now. There's one guy that's on the Rubio Dimes fade list. It better be Zeke Elliott, Rubio. Can we tell the people that already? Is Zeke on the fade list?
Oh, yeah, Zeke will be on the fade list. There is zero doubt about that.
Can we talk about how last week he was headed toward his season, like maybe career low in like snaps last week until the blowout happened? They were completely ready to face him out besides goal line stuff, it looked like.
Yes, it's exactly the case. Go bet his under on yards. It was 35.5. I said, I don't care. I'm betting it. Like
he can still have like 20 yards, 2 touchdowns though, because they're still going to give it to him on the goal line. Like,
yeah,
he's going to be the guy.
I just don't see him breaking anything. I'll say that. The attempts aren't going to be there enough, I think, to churn it. And I don't know. I was like, I remember I was watching the game last week and I had already bet Pollard's over. And then like mid game, I saw someone tweet about it and they were like just Zeke's under is a lock. And I was like, yeah, it is. What am I doing? Let me live bet this. And another way to bet these games sometimes too is like I bet Pollard to be like the leading rusher in the game, right? And that got me a little more juice too, which was kind of nice. So that's a little betting angles you can take on slate sometimes. So obviously it's a big betting weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun watching all these games and everything. But Rubio, let's go up to these guys up top in the flex. Like, who are some of the priorities for you? It seems like CD is going to be a priority for me, whether it's captain, whether it's flex. I think he's going to be someone I'm trying to get onto my teams. Same with CMC. What about you?
Yeah, I think Lamb and McCaffrey, those are two guys who really pop off the page. I mean, we all know what they do. We all know how good they are. And Lamb, I mean, Dak loves getting him the ball. And like you said, last week he started off horrible. Luckily got the touchdown at the end, but that was just a terrible script. And in the Washington game, they weren't really trying to play their starters all that much. So, you're getting a guy who's going to get like 15 targets if they're trailing, I think. And I just think he's one of the easiest plays on the board. The question becomes, like, where do you get all the value to fit these studs? Do you have to choose between one of the two quarterbacks? I think you do. Even with Brock Purdy at 9,400, I will say this, like, if that Cowboys pass rush gets to him or anything like that, I'm kind of worried about a little bit about Brock Purdy. I mean, he threw some errant throws in that first half against the Seahawks and stuff, and he spreads the ball around. I think he's fadeable just because there isn't going to be like a certain an absolute mashing like we saw last week. I don't think, and I'm probably gonna opt for Dak. And the biggest reason being is that his rushing attempts seem to be scaling up, and in a trail script, I could see him dropping back, getting like 6-7 yards in a scramble, and then all of a sudden he throws a couple darts to CD Lamb, and then even Michael Gallup, if they struggle against outside wide receivers and stuff like Kurt mentioned. So yeah, I mean, those are my two guys up top, picking between one of the two quarterbacks, and then probably picking between one or the three San Francisco receiving weapons for the most part. But there's also a script where, man, you could go both like San Francisco running backs and just play the rest Dallas. Just kind of fiddling with that. Because if you have McCaffrey and the captain, hell, you could hope McCaffrey scores 2 on the ground, and then none of these other guys are really doing much. And say it's a 24-21 game or something, like it would look pretty good. So fiddling with that, just trying to get the comfortable build down, but probably going to be Dak, Lamb, and Christian McCaffrey as my core.
All right. Well, if you want to check out that core, for sure, go to the Showdown playbook. We'll have cores up from everyone. We'll have tons of content for you guys, so be sure to check that out. And again, hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure Sports. Let's go over to you, Meg. Or Sherry, did I go to you, Meg, on this one for the top?
No, not yet.
Okay. Sorry. Now I am distracted. I'm getting my other NFL content up, so you do not have my full undivided attention right now, but I'll be back here shortly. I almost have it all ready to go. But talking about this game, because are these guys up top? And one person I actually wanted to mention, Tony Pollard, we haven't really talked that much about. And, like, he is a spend that, like, listen, if we think Zeke gets phased out, right, that's a lot of work for someone. And I understand this Niners defense is not one that I want to attack. But we also understand that Tony Pollard is, as the people say, right, he's him, right? He's that guy. He's the one that we love to play, right? Basically, the DFS community loves Tony Pollard. And I don't think people are going to play him, and we think he's that talented. I don't know. I think Tony Pollard's pretty interesting in the flex, maybe a good way to be unique.
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say, Rubio, I totally missed your playbook because that is like my guide before I start, jump on these shows. So doing this earlier, I missed your playbook. So if you're not a Run Pure subscriber, obviously become one because the playbook is super helpful to prep and hopefully will be in addition to watching this show. But to answer your question about Pollard, I am we kind of talked about it. You kind of have to make some stands, some fades on especially this showdown more than others. I'm kind of fading the whole Dallas running game. I think Pollard could get there. It's just San Francisco is hard to get on the ground. You like both the guys mentioned, you attack them through the air is where you could have some more success. And so, yeah, Pollard could get there via the air, but I don't want to rely on that. And I'd rather just, play Dak or Lamb or Schultz, or quite honestly, I'd be willing to go down to Gallup or to even T.Y. Hilton. So that's kind of where I stand. It's for me in the flex, it's more the fades, and I'm fading both Dallas running backs, scary. And to Kurt's point, I'm fading Kittle, very scary. Though we've talked about this before with like a Joe Mixon. If it's a type of guy that, could get 3 touchdowns, he's one of those type of guys that if you want to just make 1 or 2 hedge lineups, put one Kittle captain lineup, and then fade him from your flex. Something like that might be an interesting way to go about Kittle because he's either going to go off for 2 touchdowns and you have to have him as your captain. So that's how I'm going to handle Kittle at least. And he's going to be another fade. So for me, it's the quarterbacks, and I'm probably going to have some with Purdy, some with Dak. And of course the just the weapons that we've talked about that we love, CMC, Ayuk, Samuel, on the San Francisco side. And I do love going down to Mitchell in some builds. And then on the Dallas side, I kind of touched on that. Fading the running backs, it's Dak, it's CD, it's Schultz, it's maybe Gallup and Hilton. So that's kind of where I'm landing on the flex. And it's more kind of about who I'm fading than who I'm playing, I think. That's going to determine if I'm going to have any success or not.
No, I mean, it's a great point. Like, and I talk about it a lot, especially on these shorter slates. Like the fades are more key sometimes. And like, it's like the way you build your lineups, right? Like for instance, I'm trying to think of a good example here, but like one small rule I think you could set right away that I think would make you pretty different is you just say, give me CeeDee Lamb and give me Christian McCaffrey and do not put them on the same team. Now, could you naturally like maybe lose the winner that way? Yeah, there's other ways to be different, but that's like a quick way where you're just taking two of the most popular plays and you're separating them from each other. Like I kind of talked about on like the 4-game slate, which again, these slates are like, these slates, when you have like really good players on it, it gets difficult to make hard fades. Like it's obviously we want to play everyone, but you just can't, and you have to make some kind of fade. You find a way to make it different. Maybe it's like Josh Allen is obviously one of the good quarterbacks. I was talking about it in my thread. Gabe Davis is going to be one of the chalkiest receivers. So just play Josh Allen without Gabe Davis. You're instantly different. If you remember last week's big slate, the 6-gamer, or even on the 2-game slates, Giants Vikings was the game that people wanted to play, right? Like the value was there. It just made sense. All you do is fade Justin Jefferson. That easy, right? Now, obviously, no one wanted to fade Justin Jefferson, but you need to look for those things, right? So we have to find those kind of little pieces to separate ourselves from the field. Maybe it's a full-on Christian McCaffrey fade. Like if you play 4 49ers and you don't play McCaffrey, who is building 4 49ers without McCaffrey, right? Like that's just instantly different. So think about that when kind of building out your teams here, because again, these fades are going to be important and there's a lot of different guys that can help out with it. Kurt, let's go over to you. I know you're definitely a Tony Pollard fan, so maybe talk about him and talk about some of the fades and plays up here at the top in the flex spot.
Oh my gosh, I just built such a beautiful team. Holy moly. So I was just building, and I was going to go on your point about how like fitting. I mean, because I really like you really want Dak, C-Mac, and Lamb. I mean, obviously, like that's how everyone's going to feel. And fading one, like, I mean, you really can't. Like, I will be doing that. And the thing is, if you fade, let's say you fade C-Mac, you can go Mitchell and Debo and hope that somehow they get the 2 rushing touchdowns, and C-Mac just gets like 5. I mean, he does his thing, still gets like 19, 20, but just doesn't fall in the end zone because he gets poached by Mitchell and Debo. That's very that's super likely, especially if they key on McCaffrey in the red zone, which last week he kind of wide open touchdown in the flat. I mean, come on. I hope to God Dallas is prepared for that. C-Mac is still a great play, but playing him with Lamb, I think that I'm going to be doing that rule that Mangone just said. And it's funny, right before he said that, I was like, man, this is really tough to do. I might just split them up. So that's smart. But the thing is, I'm doing.
And you don't have to do it with all your teams, Kurt, right? Like if you're playing 150, an idea is like maybe you build 20 of your teams that way, right? Like there's different paths that you could do it. Maybe maybe it's saying, hey, I'm playing 4 or 5 Niners on all of these 20 and then not play CMC on it. Yeah, it's scary, but like these are just ways to build unique lineups with the optimizers. So and that's what I would go with.
Here is the reason why I'm comfortable doing that, because look, this is a tough matchup, but Tony Pollard's explosive, man. He can catch passes. He can take a screen to the house, and so can Debo. So you can't fit all those guys. So fading Lamb or McCaffrey, I'm doing it because I really like Pollard and Debo's explosiveness in that like 8K range in the flex, or even the captain. I mean, they're both 8.2, 8.4. Everyone's just going to jam the top 3 guys and just completely ignore, I think, Debo and Samuel, who can take it to the house in 70 yards on like the first quarter. I mean, these guys are studs. So I'll be doing that. And also, you can kind of like with C-Mac, like I mentioned, Mitchell's 3K. Like, what if he just falls in the end zone? What if Dallas is trailing and it's just like all like just him and C-Mac just running the ball down their throats the whole fourth quarter? That could also happen. So in the flex, I kind of just mentioned, I really like those 8K range guys. I think just get kind of overlooked because everyone wants to jam the studs. As far down here, I think I'm going to be. It hurts, but lower on Schultz this week. It's an enticing price, but San Fran's so good against tight ends, and I'd rather just take Gallup and try to attack that outside and just pray that the Dallas O-line holds up, and maybe even Schultz stays in more to block, which I'm probably sure they'd probably bring in maybe Ferguson or someone to do that, maybe. Or maybe they just do 12 personnel like crazy and just have Gallup on the outside going ham. So I will be lower on the 2 tight ends in this matchup. And then as far as the receivers go, like how far down are we going? I think I'm below 4, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah, don't go below 4. So, but that's fine. We'll keep this thing moving along here. We're 30 minutes in. I don't have a lock to look at, Kurt, where I can see what time and panic, so we're good to go there. Let's keep this thing moving along. Let's go to the value plays. Rubio, who are some of the values? Because we even talked about them, right? We've talked about all these options up top that are really good, but we need value to fill out our lineups. And some of the value plays are interesting. I guess you can put Schultz in that value category, basically the backup quarterbacks and all the way down. We'll go all the way down, right? I guess to the bottom here. So actually, let's go to the kickers, and then we'll circle back because these cheap ones. So Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup, Jennings, both the defenses and the kickers. Let's start there. So that's kind of the group we're going to look at. Obviously, kickers in play. Defenses, we know the Cowboys defense is impressive. Niners defense has definitely done a great job this year, and Dak Prescott is down to throw a pick six when the game is on the line. So obviously Niners D could find its way getting there late. And you got, like I said, Jennings has gotten a little bit more targets. Last game he got 5 in the playoff game, which I was pretty surprised with. I don't know if that was late, so that might be interesting to look into if you're interested. Michael Gallup, who's kind of emerged a little bit, and then we talked about Dalton Schultz. But what's your thoughts here, Rubio, on this range?
So I'll go to Jennings real quick. I believe he had a couple end zone targets, or at least one, and that was early in the game. So he was involved quite often. He's a guy who won't have any ownership at all, and if he finds the end zone, you're going to be like, oh damn, I got like a 15% touchdown here on Showdown, and no one's going to play him. He's in that mid-tier range where even like he got 6 last week. That's not going to kill you or anything. Like it's basically the same score as what a kicker could get. And, you know, I think he's kind of a sneaky play for the most part. You know, if you really want to get different for tournaments, Brett Maher, what a great kicker. I mean, you know, those Monday night performances are one for the ages. Definitely got interest in his ability to kick extra points. Robbie Gould, 3,800 is definitely someone I'm going to be playing just because Brock Purdy leads him down, to the red zone and then sometimes stalls out. And if you just look at Robbie Gould's log, he's got 3 or 4 games with like 13 or more. Like it's hard to pass on a kicker and an offense that, the offense is going to be able to move the ball. Like I know that this Dallas defense can be good at times, but I just think like Shanahan's going to be able to just move this ball down the field and at least get in the field goal range. So Robbie Gould, definitely have a massive amount of interest in him. Like Gallup, like Schultz, kind of what Kurt said. This is a good chance for Gallup to kind of make his mark. He got a big contract over the offseason despite tearing his ACL, and he looked good last week, even though he did step out of bounds prior to catching the ball last week, but it's all right. But I think here, after a 6-target game last week in a game that they were winning the whole time, like if they're trailing at all, maybe that trends up a little bit and, exploit the 49ers weakness. Like I said, lower on Schultz, but 5,600, that's still a little bit soft on him. So I definitely get why anyone would play him. And I do like the defenses. This is my take here is I think the defenses, even going against your quarterback, is just fine because Brock Purdy has thrown some errant throws. The Cowboys are incredibly good at forcing turnovers, and they also return turnovers to the house. They already have 3 touchdowns this year. I'm thinking there's going to be a defensive touchdown in this game. And even like you look at Dak, he threw 3 pick sixes in 3 straight games or something like that down the stretch. So I think there's going to be a defensive touchdown in this game. I think both quarterbacks can be careless with the ball, and I think the Cowboys defense, even if they end up losing this game or something, has a chance to be optimal because of how wild Purdy was in that first half.
Great points brought up there. Meg, let's go over to you. Obviously, we need some value, right? And I don't know if we're going to be able to punt the value plays as much in this game, but there's some good values here. I think there are some decent punts that we'll talk about. But what do you do with this like mid-tier value range?
Yeah, I like Schultz probably a little more than the guys. I understand he's got a tough matchup, but he's just been Dak's go-to guy the last few weeks. His targets, I believe, the last 3 weeks have been very, very high, and he does always, I think he's gotten 2 touchdowns 3 times this season. So, despite a tough matchup, I'm still a little interested. Again, price is right too. Gallup, I have interest in. I think Rubio makes a great point on the defenses. I think for me, the reason I probably won't get to the defenses a lot is just because of how many of these other skill guys I want to get in. But that doesn't mean, so I wouldn't rule them out, but I don't think they would be like a core piece that I'm trying to jam in either, if that makes sense. And then did Brett Maher or Mar, however you pronounce his name, have a brutal night. So may come in lower owned, would make me a little nervous to roster because if he gets the yips again, then I don't know if they'll, be kicking many field goals with him. So it might be going for 4th. So a little bit nervous, but you're going to get an ownership discount on Mar. And then Rubio made a great point about Robbie Gould's box score. Wow. He definitely is just, so I would prefer Gould over Brett Maher. And that would probably be even before the Monday night disaster for him. And then I think Jennings is a good call. Are we going down to like the lower range?
No, yeah, don't go there yet.
Okay, I won't go there yet. And then Eli Mitchell, I believe. I don't know if I went too low there, but we talked about.
Yeah, we'll get to Mitchell. That's
okay. Sorry. So we'll talk.
I wanted to separate him a little bit.
Okay. Yes. Sorry about that.
I feel like there's good options like down there than normal. So
Yes.
we have the we are here with the Peyton Hendershot fan club. So
right.
it's
Right. Yeah. So I went too far, but
we got to dedicate a whole segment to him. So
yeah. So basically the couple of the Dallas receivers, kickers, more gold, and I wouldn't rule out the defenses, but I'm not going to force them either.
All right. I think Kurt, did we go to you on this one, or am I wrong? You talked about well, you said you kind of went into this range already, but do you want to kind of dive back into it, make sure that you touch on like kickers, defenses? You mentioned them.
Yeah, I'm cool. I think I will be doing some pass like with just one team just blowing them out. So defenses are in play here, but both teams have such good pass rushes. I think that's what brings in these defenses. I mean, that sack floor is really nice if you can have one of those games. And it's not like they're not really breaking the bank like some of these have. Like, I mean, we've seen some like 4.8s, 4.9s, 5Ks for the defenses. They're back down to low 4Ks, so we can definitely get away with it. You can fall on there in multiple ways. Especially, I feel like these defenses really do fit the nut build for those like 4.2s, 5.1s. So in play, I love the just troll Maher game. Like I'm gonna have him a lot just to laugh when he actually has a good game, makes like a 60-yarder or some bullshit. Yeah, I'm a little scared about he misses extra points, but I just think it'd be so funny just to have like a winning lineup with Maher after he misses every single.
He'll be tough to click. People will definitely struggle with that.
Hilarious! I'm gonna do it. If he keep misses, who gives a shit? I'll just close the laptop.
I remember Mason Crosby missed like 5-inning game against the Lions, and like the next week he was fine. So
right,
just like I'm not that worried about it.
The way this season's gone, he'll probably be the captain. So
baby.
Oh, do not say that out loud. Oh,
I know.
You just spoke it into existence.
Like, I put it into existence now.
I'm just imagining, that would be some people on Twitter would not be happy about that. So that would be funny. But let's keep this thing moving along. Kurt, let's go right back to you, right? Talk about your boy, Peyton Hendershot. Does he have any chance to be on a winner? Also, we got T.Y. Hilton, who's been like emerging, even though I don't want to talk about T.Y. Hilton. We are here talking about him. Noah Brown, I do think he's still in the conversation as a cheap option. Elijah Mitchell, we know he could steal a touchdown very easily. We know it's the playoffs. What does Kyle Shanahan do in the playoffs? Does a lot more different, option type plays or like motion plays. Ray McLeod could easily house one, a big one on an explosive play for cheap. Might not get a ton of opportunities, but maybe he can make it happen on the one. I don't know. Did I miss anything else here, Kurt, though?
You're talking shit about my play of the day, T.Y. Hilton, but besides that, I mean, first of all, multiple reasons here. If you watch that game early on, it looked like he was on his season high in snaps on his way. Kind of like how Paul was about to dominate the backfield.
He's definitely getting more work. You are not wrong.
But then it just all of a sudden came to a halt, and they started going like it's 12 personnel the whole time. You can see that in the tight end snap counts. They just like whole second half, third, fourth. Obviously, they went like full 12. But, man, he was about to get a large sum of the snaps. So, 2,800, let us not forget, it was a trick play. But a very dusty receiver got this San Fran team for like a 78-yard first play touchdown. A.J. Green. So, dusty receiver against San Fran narrative? What? Okay. What? I'll take it. T.Y. Hilton, 2,800, probably going to be in most of my lineups, especially if I think they'll be trailing. I think they'll kind of have to get away from that 12 personnel. A lot more snaps for him. And if I like him so much, I can't really hate on Brown. I will obviously like Hilton more, but I will have some Brown exposure for the same exact reasons. And then no Peyton for me. He did have 11% snaps last week. And Jake's snaps were up because obviously they went full 12. But how many did he end up getting? He had that one play, but he was out there.
Yeah, I remember that.
45% of the snaps. And against this pass rush, it might happen again. So Jake Ferguson and Dart. Now, these aren't main team play. Like, I'm not playing anyone below probably Hilton or Brown, but if we're multi-entering, I do have a couple I like here. Jake's one of them. And then also Kyle Juszczyk. Like, okay, so Kittle has to stay in. They had to put someone in the flat. And if it's not going to be C-Mac, maybe we see a couple more like Kyle Juszczyk jump offs. And maybe like he gets like 3 of those and he gets a fullback run for a touchdown. 1,600. I'll take a stab at it. I'm not going to hate on it. And then also, I don't hate the main tight ends, but like I said, I like Ferguson. My full-on punt dart that you should not play, Tyler Kroft, 200. Okay. Goal line touchdown. That's my dart call. You shouldn't play him call of the day. But I mean, I don't hate the range down here as much. Ray McLeod can catch a bomb, like you all mentioned. The snaps were terrible. Denny Gray out snapped him, but we know what he's in there for. He's the bomb guy.
Yeah, and do not go to Kurt on Twitter and be like, "See, Tyler Croft didn't score a touchdown."
Like, come on, dude.
Okay?
If he gets the red zone target, we're like, okay, I'll take
Yeah,
it.
just don't be that guy, right? Nothing's worse than that guy. So that's all I'm saying. Like my favorite is when I do these threads sometimes, and like someone will be like, "Yeah, I told you Joe Mixon wasn't the fade, and he had like 5 touctouhdowns." I'm like, "Yeah, no kidding. Like, thanks. Like, yeah, no kidding. You're yes.
You must be rich, buddy."
Those are fun, but well, let's go to you, Rubio. Is it Peyton Hendershot season? Maybe T.Y. Hilton. You got some snap info for us that we could discuss, because like T.Y. Hilton's a big play guy, right? Like I've done some of these underdog best ball drafts, and like late in the round, I'm like, I got a 5-man Bengals stack going. I got some Eagles. Maybe I just throw in one T.Y. Hilton late because everything else is terrible. And if he catches one bomb in the Super Bowl, like I'll be mint, right? So he could catch one bomb in this game. Again, it only takes one play for these guys. What's your thoughts here on the value plays, Rubio?
I'm tired of the T.Y. Hilton slander from you, Mangone. Can you just sit back down and say, "Oh, he's a big play guy, one play"? God, he played a shit ton. As someone who played Noah Brown last week, I was sitting there. I'm like, damn, T.Y. Hilton's playing.
And he looked good.
Yeah, and he was getting slants. He was getting like, just simple 10-yard outs and stuff like that. Like T.Y. Hilton, I'm with Kurt here. Like he's hitting my like builds here where I'm just like playing on my phone right now where I'm like, damn, T.Y. Hilton makes everything click, and I'd rather have him over Noah Brown. And that's where this is where the show gets done, because I'm going to be now just full-fledged T.Y. Hilton for this game after you dissed him, Mango, and you disrespected T.Y.
So he's not as old as I thought he was. He is only 33, but it's I don't know.
He's playing a ton. Like last week showed, like T.Y. Hilton is used to this offense now. They want to use him, and he actually looked pretty fast, and like he has fresher legs than most too.
I agree, Rubio. I am not the coach, right? It's one of the most important things. People say, why are they not doing this? Like, this is why I played him. Well, you're not the coach, so you shouldn't have played him. You know what? The Cowboys are using him. They are. It's crazy to think, but they are. Like, if I told you 2-3 months ago T.Y. Hilton was playing in a playoff game, you'd all be like, I don't think you're correct on that. But it's happening, and he's getting real usage. So you can't ignore it, especially because of the big playability that he has. Obviously, the opportunity is key, right? Like, kind of one of the points I brought up with the Ray McLeod thing is like, he's not going to get many opportunities. So, like, when he does have it, it better pay off, right? Like, you want his opportunity to be, like, a big one, right? And that's the one thing with T.Y. Hilton. You can feel like you are going to get at least one deep ball thrown his way, right? I mean, that's kind of like what happened to John Brown for the Bills. He gets, like, that one deep play per game, it seems like, and then it's like he's just got to catch it or he doesn't. So, Meg, let's go over to you. It's time for you to bash me for T.Y. Hilton, so I'm sitting here ready to go. Or maybe you want to bash T.Y. Hilton. Maybe he'll come over the top and it'll be a tag team. What's your thoughts here on T.Y. Hilton and the value plays?
No, this show has become a T.Y. Hilton fan club show. So we're all high on T.Y. Hilton here. Listen, I think I don't have the snap counts in front of me, but I just think he's it feels like he unseated Noah Brown as that, kind of third receiver, but I'd have to really break down and look at the snap counts to know for sure, but it certainly felt like that in that game. I'm definitely just going to T.Y. Hilton over Noah Brown in this range, even though I think you could save a little bit on Noah Brown. So it's T.Y. Hilton for me. We are the T.Y. Hilton fan club here. And then down low, it will also be, we talked about him earlier, Eli Mitchell. You can do him with McCaffrey. You can do him if you're fading McCaffrey. You can do, different builds with him. I think he could make it work. He's one of those guys who's not going to get a ton of, snaps, but when he's out there, he's going to get a ton of usage. And so that's the kind of, who cares about the snaps if he's getting used in the, in goal line opportunities and high value touches, then I'm interested. So it's Eli Mitchell. It's T.Y. Hilton for me down here. I like the Kyle Juszczyk point. That you save a little more money there. So I might get there. It makes me uncomfortable, but he's gotten used in key situations in the postseason all the time. So I'll have a little interest there. So those are my 3 cheapies.
Yeah, Kyle Juszczyk and T.Y. Hilton. Check out Rubio's core over here at One Pure Sports. It'll be up with Kyle. It'll be Brett Maher captain with Kyle Juszczyk and what's it called? T.Y. Hilton. But kidding, obviously. I love to make fun of these dusty guys at times, but he's going to be fine. But I'm sure I'll have some exposure. I haven't built any lineups yet. When I ran Sabre, which is like way too early of a run, there were T.Y. Hilton captains. I mean, it seems absurd.
Oh.
Can we play cheap captains? Can I at least ask that? Because there's so many good top tier options. Can we play cheap captains? I don't know. Rubio, let's go to you first on that.
Yeah, I think you can on this slate. Like, we talk about big play guys. Like, obviously T.Y. Hilton is a massive play guy, but you also have Michael Gallup, who has been great in the deep ball. Deebo Samuel, same way. And, guys who are just explosive off the thing. I know that Deebo doesn't really fit the mold, but a guy like Gallup or Hilton, like we keep stressing, like this 49ers secondary isn't great. If you expect the Cowboys to be trailing in a passing script, like, God, I can easily see, like, if T.Y. Hilton found the box and he gets like 5 for 50 and 1, you're like, oh man, I got 16 out of him in the flex, but in the captain you get 24, you saved a ton of money, and it allows you to play instead of like Michael Gallup, you get Deebo Samuel. So I think it opens up. I think it kind of correlates too, like with T.Y. and the captain. I'm not going to go here and like say that's what I'm doing for sure, but it's definitely an intriguing thought. I actually hadn't built with a cheap captain yet. I've just kind of had McCaffrey just slammed up there, but I'm really happy with the builds that I'm getting right now. So I think T.Y. captain's a nice little flavor in the mix.
All right, T.Y. Hilton captain's possible. Let's see. Kurt, do you have any interest in it? I know you said you built some sweet teams over there. Do you have any interest in the cheap captain options, or like, I mean, even like the mid-tier ones? You know me, I like kind of some mid-tier captains at time because what it allows for your full lineups.
Yeah, I think the only cheap one we'll be doing is T.Y. I've not built it yet, so I don't know what it looks like.
It looks good, Kurt.
It really,
good. I just did it. It looks
sometimes
good.
you do those cheapies like that, and it's just like you're still not falling on what you really want. So it's like, okay, I don't really want to risk it to do that, but I'm going to take your word for it. I'm excited for it. I'm definitely going to run one, probably in a high dollar single entry too, just for the hell of it. But I think I really do like Deebo, but I think we can go back to Mangone, your GOAT call earlier this season when we had San Fran Ayuk captain, super low owned. And I think he does kind of, I mean, if you go Ayuk, fade Samuel, go C-Mac, and then just like you can get Purdy in there, maybe just do like a 4-2 San Fran. That could be a little tasty.
I'll definitely be going back to an IA captain. I just like these. The one thing about these mid-tier captains is like sometimes like it allows you not to have to dive into that like really cheap range at all, and like maybe only just grab one, and maybe it's like a kicker. So like if I did that build, right, like, let's just see if I'll just plug in like one of the kickers, right? I'll plug in like an Aya captain right now because his price isn't bad. And then if you grabbed like, let's say, I mean from here, let's grab Michael Gallup, right? Just because like that's another mid-tier option. If you go Aya captain with Robbie Gould and Michael Gallup, which like those are solid values, you're left with 10-1 for your last like 3 spots. So like you can go grab McCaffrey, you can go all the way down to Kittle at 7-6. You can even probably change Gallup up to like a Deebo Samuel. Now you're at 9K for your spots. So there's a lot you can do with it. So like that's why I think, what?
You go Hilton over Gallup.
Yeah, the Hilton over Gallup gets you even more for sure. So there's a lot it can do for you. This is the next question I have. Meg, what is Big T's player pool going to say? Is it going to say fade Dusty T.Y. Hilton, or is it going to say to play him? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I feel like it's going to say fade Dusty T.Y. Hilton, but I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I think he's going to like him because he's on the Cowboys side. I think he's going to.
Oh, that's true. He's on the Cowboys side, and yeah, just Dak spreading around, and he, watch that game, and we all kind of saw that T.Y. Hilton was involved. So while usually he may have said that, I think he might get back on the T.Y. Hilton with us. I like it. Yeah. I mean, now we're all building T.Y. Hilton captain lineups. I mean, this show has turned quick.
Say we all don't put me in that bucket.
Don't put you in that bucket. Yeah.
That's your loss, Mangone. It's a nice build.
I got tons of time to figure that out. Not right now though. Let's keep this thing moving. Guys, hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton over here at Rum Pure Sports. We miss having you in the chat. We don't got the chatters here, so that's unfortunate. But we are at my favorite time of the show where we get to ask favorite builds, right? Is it 5-1? Is it 4-2, 2-4, 3-3, 1-5? Rubio Dimes, what's the build this week?
Wow, I got to say, I think I found the build, and it's 3-3, man. It was definitely 3-3. I think it's going to be an even game. I think there's going to be points on the board. I think T.Y. Hilton's going to get there. And yeah, it's just going to be a fun one. 3-3, though. I think you can fiddle with 4-2 either way if you think someone just comes in a little bit more lopsided. But I think you can get really comfortable builds with a 3-3.
Yeah, I think you do a lot of different builds with it, too. Like, if like one thing I think about too is like if you think 3-3 is the most popular route, like maybe don't play like the most popular captain in 3-3 builds, right? Play him in the 4-2 builds. Like those are things that I kind of think about at times when kind of building out teams. Kurt, let's go over to you next. So what is the build that you're looking at this week?
It's 4-2 for me. The chalky route. I mean, I've built 3 so far, and it's all been 4-2, one or the other way. So that's what I'm saying.
Which is the chalkiest way, Cowboys or Niners 4-2?
Man, I feel like a lot of people think San Fran wins, but I feel like the production from San Fran is so isolated sometimes, or at least what our mindset thinks. So I think it'd be 4-2 Cowboys, because I mean, like, you can go like Debo and C-Mac and be fine with that. You know what I'm saying? And just hope that you get all the touchdowns and stuff.
Yeah. So when I look, I'm just like, I ran some stuff before. It looks like Cowboys are the more popular one, which I think it makes sense because there's like no San Francisco value, right? Like when you get, where is it? Sorry, I'm on the wrong tab. When you get to below, like basically start going to Dalton Schultz, right? Jennings is a value, Niners and Gould, but like Cowboys and Mara, there's values. And then from there, it's Mitchell. And then there's like, I don't know. No one's dying to play Juszczyk and like McLeod. Like it's just, I think that's kind of part of the reason. I think it's because Schultz is down there at the 5.6. You got Gallup at the 5K, and then you got T.Y. Hilton. So I think that's playing part of the factor of why it's more Cowboys heavy. But Meg, let's go to you. What's the build that you are looking at here?
Do you think it's also more but I will answer your question. Do you think it's also more Cowboys heavy because people will have to play Dak over Purdy and you can really only get one quarterback?
Yeah, I think
unless you do
go Dak over. Yeah, I think they'll go Dak over Purdy. It's just
right.
Purdy's definitely a little bit of a tougher click, especially because the narrative is going to be this is his first defense he's like really played that like, and people always are looking for for instance, like his first playoff game. People are like, well, I can't play Purdy. It's his first game. Who knows what happens? Like the unknown. Like it's like, well, now it's the narrative is, oh, well, he hasn't played a good defense. So if he torches him this week, what's the narrative going to be next week? I mean, not saying he will or won't do it, but that is a narrative that people are all talking about this week is how will he fare against the defense, right? When you pull up a Sports Center or like the pregame show and they're like, what's the key to the game, right? It's like, can Brock Purdy beat this defense, right? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So that's the thing that's being hammered in everyone's head, I think.
Absolutely, which makes me really curious to see what his ownership projection might be. And if it's way lower, then maybe I want to jam some 2 quarterback.
I mean, right now I'm seeing it at 40% on Saver, but we'll see. I don't know. I think it could get lower, but
okay. Yeah, I may be interested in some 2 quarterback. I may be interested in some Purdy over Dak just to get unique. But with that said, I do like the 3-3 the best, but I've been doing some 4-2 Niners. Maybe it's because I think Niners win and they just, the way you get their weapons, their weapons, they just have so many. Like I said, it's like, they have so many riches of weapons. It's ridiculous. So, and that's with us talking about fading Kittle too. So yeah, for me, it's a little more 4-2 Niners, and maybe that will be unique. I will say on FanDuel, I do like 3-2 Niners. And on FanDuel, Brett Maher's price, that's where I might play him a little more because he's 500 under Kittle, under Gold, and you kind of need the salary in this slate. So I could see me doing more there and still hope he comes low and then still hope he bounces back. So that's my FanDuel build is 3-2.
Yeah, and I love a good segue. Our FanDuel expert, Rubio Dimes, he knows all the FanDuel takes for you. We didn't have the chat to remind me of it, but Meg got me covered. So, Rubio, FanDuel takes for the people.
Yeah, I think it's like mostly the same for the most part. I definitely think like 3-2 49ers probably fits a little bit just because like we think the 49ers, at least I do. I think the 49ers win and stuff. T.Y. Hilton's only 7,500 over there, but you have a point. Like Maher and Gold, usually I think like kickers are like 9,000 over there and stuff, and they're 8,500 and 8,000. So yeah, it's going to make a lot of sense. Like I still think you play a lot of the same guys. Like I don't think anyone outside Lamb, McCaffrey are huge like PPR guys. Like we're playing them purely because of PPR. So I think like the thoughts translate over to FanDuel completely like very similar. Like CD Lamb's only 13K there, and I do think like he's easier to fit. Like, but then it kind of gets into the discussion of like you definitely can only go 1 quarterback on FanDuel if you want Lamb. So it kind of creates some like things. Juszczyk like 5,500 over there. Like Juwan Jennings is only 7K, so you can get some really nice builds and stuff. So depending on which quarterback you go, you kind of have a little bit of like salary. Like Purdy's like 1,500 cheaper and stuff. So yeah, I think it's 3-2 49ers. Just when I did a quick build right here, but if you do stack up the Dak Prescott, you probably end up 3-2 Cowboys. So I think it's like very similar thoughts, but like the DK thoughts definitely translate over to FanDuel today or this week.
Yep, good points there. Guys, if you could please hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton. We're almost an hour here, so we're getting close to getting on out of here. One thing I will call out, hand building teams will not be easy for this. You will be like in pain, being like, I have to fade this guy. Like I just built one out. I'm like, this team doesn't have McCaffrey. This feels awful. So use an optimizer. Go sign up over at Run Pure Sports. Get in on SaberSim. Don't sign up like an hour before and then try and figure out SaberSim. Figure it out a little bit earlier, right? That's one of the biggest mistakes people make sometimes. They go in, they're like, I purchased an optimizer. Let me build teams. And they try to do it in like 30 minutes before lock, and they never touch an optimizer. It's not the best idea. Mess around with it later on. Do not just always play around with it right before lock. Give it a go earlier, right? Get a little test drive out of it, right? When you go get a car, you go and give it a test drive, right? You don't just go buy it and figure it out. So yeah, definitely do that. Use the codes RUBIO15, KURT15, and MEG15 get you 15% off. So yeah, go sign up right now. It includes SaberSim as well, but I don't got too much else to say here. Obviously going to be a fun game, going to be a really fun weekend. Can't wait. Actually, let's pick who's going to win the game. I kind of want to do that just because I'm curious to see what side everyone's on. I'm on the Niners. I feel pretty good about it. Meg, what side are you on?
Yeah, like I said, I've listened to very sharp people on both sides. So, but I've been on the Niners the whole time through the playoffs. We spoke to Best Ball, or you talked about Best Ball. I heavily drafted the Niners in Best Ball, so I'm really hoping they pull through here. And to your point, Mangone, I just think they have the better coach, and I think that's going to win out in the end.
Yeah, listen, you can call them out. Say Big T. I think the Niners beat the Cowboys.
I'm not calling out Big T. I'm not calling out Big T.
Come on. I did it the other day, but no,
but I do think the Niners win, and my Best Ball teams will be looking good then. So
yeah, that definitely would look good for those. Kurt, what about you? Niners or Cowboys?
Bro, I got to pee so bad. I can't even think straight right now. Like I'm about to piss my pants. So give me Cowboys because I'm a Brock Purdy hater and piss dogs, baby.
Take the Cowboys and go to the bathroom, dude. We'll go to the bathroom. We'll see you in a second.
Thanks, boys. Good luck, everyone, this weekend.
Rubio, what about you?
I think the 49ers take it. I think if you use any one of our codes, Meg15, Rubio15, or Kurt15, you also can hit any one of us in the chat. We can definitely show you how to use Saber and stuff, or anything that you need. So if you're new to an optimizer or anything like that, just let us know, and we can kind of go over some rules and stuff. So yeah, I think it's gonna be 49ers though. Honestly, I'm like looking at these stacks and stuff. I hope it's the 49ers. Like I think they're the better team too, better coach, like you said. Like it's McCarthy or Shanahan. Who you think?
The fair point I heard someone say was like, yeah, McCarthy's a donkey, but they do have good offensive coordinator. Like like Quinn's better. Like I think he's better as a D coordinator than a head coach. So yeah, I think that's one thing I may overlook a little bit, but I don't know. Everyone says, "Oh, Shanahan blows games, blah blah blah." Right? He blew the 28-3 game. It's like
I saw that narrative.
He blew it to Tom Brady, guys. Congrats. You know what I mean? And he had an ego. Like I don't know. He was young. He'll be fine. Yeah. So I'm not too worried about it. Hope the Niners get the job done. But that's gonna wrap it up for us. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the Showdown Show. For me, Mangone, Meg, Kurt, who went to the bathroom, and Rubio Dimes. We will see you guys later.